Welcome to the Early Morning Light Podcast. I am your host, Tracy Early, and on this podcast, we share life-changing tools, tips, information, motivation, and inspiration to bring light to your life as you listen to the episodes of Early Morning Light Podcast. On this particular episode, we're going to talk about the concept of living life on purpose, because I believe that everyone has a purpose, that you're put here in this earth, you're put here in this life to live out, and no one's going to do that thing that is your purpose like you are going to do it. You've got some special stuff. You've got some gifts, some talents that you are here to express that no one is going to do like you are going to do it. And your purpose is wrapped around that particular thing. I once read a quote that said, to be on purpose means that you're doing what you love to do, doing what you're good at, and accomplishing what is important to you. Let me say that one more time. To be on purpose means you're doing what you love to do, doing what you're good at, and accomplishing what is important to you. As I listen to that, I think of the three components of that. Doing something you love to do. If you love to do it, you're going to want to do it. And it's going to be energizing. It's not going to be work. You're going to want to do that thing. Because you love that thing. If you're good at it, then that means you're going to have more of an impact with that thing, because it is part of your gift, and you have skills that allow you to do that thing at the level that you can do it at a high level. And it is important to you. The third component of that, as I read that, means that it is something that is part of your life purpose, your life mission. It is important. It's not just some extraneous activity that you're doing. This is something that is important, that is leading to some goal that you have for your life, for your situation. That thing is important to you. So we're going to talk about this. And this is what I believe. I believe that, and I've seen this because I've experienced it myself, that when you are doing purposeful work, when you're living life on purpose, people, resources, opportunities will gravitate towards you like you've never seen before. I believe personally that my purpose here on this earth is to encourage and inspire and equip people to be their best selves. I am always looking for opportunities to encourage someone. Even just in my daily life. I remember one day I was walking down the hallway at the school that I work at, and I ran into a student, and she was just kind of walking by, and as I normally do, I just said hello, said, "How are you?" And she said, "I'm okay." And I said, "Okay, how are you really?" And she almost started to cry, like her eyes started to water, and she stopped me. She said, "Mr. Early," she said, "no one ever asked me that like you just asked me." She said, "Actually, it's been a pretty tough day." And she went on to explain, and I spent some time with her and in trying to encourage her. But in that moment, I was looking for someone who needed encouragement. I'm not saying that to put me up on any pedestal or like I'm doing something that's great and mighty. That's just the way that I have been built. And I think being an encourager is part of my purpose. So I look for those opportunities, and this became one of those opportunities. This young lady needed some encouragement. And by asking that question, not once, but 2 times, I was able to get a sense of the fact that she needed that encouragement. And I was able to do that in that moment. But because that's just part of my purpose, inspiring and encouraging other people. It's been something that I've always been energized by. And so I look for opportunities in my day to do that. So let's stay with that for a second. This is what I believe will determine or let you know that you're doing purposeful work. Number 1 is that it will be energizing. You will be energized by that thing. I am always energized when I go in to speak to a group of students or young people or young adults, or when I'm working with a student or even another staff member, when I'm having a kind of a heart-to-heart conversation with someone. I'm energized by that interaction when I have an opportunity to encourage and inspire someone. That energizes me. It never feels like work. So that's the second part. You'll know when you're doing purposeful work because it will not feel like work. If you're doing something that just feels like it's a drag all the time, it is just work all the time. Sometimes you may even dread doing it, or maybe all the time you dread doing it. That's probably not purposeful work. And in most cases, it's probably not even that thing that you're good at, if that makes sense. So you'll know when you're energized. I had someone ask me, I was going to speak to a group today of 500 students in the high school that I work at. And someone had asked me the day before, and actually the same day, someone asked the same question, are you nervous? And I said a little bit, but not really a lot. And sometimes people are surprised by that answer because we all know that speaking in front of a group of groups is one of the top 3 fears in the world, right? People fear that. I mean, they're scared of that. And I'm not saying that I'm not nervous, because I am nervous. I had a mentor who told me years ago, he said, if you're nervous, that means that you care about what you're about to share, about the message that you're about to share. So yes, I get nervous when I'm speaking in front of large crowds. Within the first few minutes, I feel a little bit of those nerves, but because of the preparation, and that's a whole nother topic, I am able to manage that. And that same mentor said, it's not about not having the nerves or not having the butterflies, whatever you call them, but it's about getting those butterflies to fly in formation and to work for you. Let that one marinate for a little bit. Getting them to fly, getting them to work for you. So if you're energized, or when I'm in front of a group, I am energized by that. So it doesn't allow me to stay anxious or nervous for too long because I'm feeding off of the energy. When you're doing something that's purposeful, you will be energized, and it does not feel like work. So this is something I want to share with you as you're trying to decide if the work you're doing is purposeful or not, or if you're trying to figure this thing out. If I were you, I'd probably write these things down as you're trying to discover, what is my purpose? I would start by writing down 2 key personal qualities that you share, that you have. It could be things that other people have said about you. It could be things that you know about yourself. But 2 qualities, personal qualities that you possess. For example, I've mentioned a couple of times, I think one of the qualities I have is to be an encourager, right? One of them is to be an inspirer. I have the quality of sometimes being energetic, those types of things. So once you get those 2 things, next, somewhere on your sheet of paper, your notepad, whatever you're writing on, I want you to write down 2 ways that you love expressing those 2 qualities. I've just said, I love speaking to groups of students. I love speaking to inspire and encourage and sometimes even entertain groups of students and young adults. I love that. So I tend to take my encourager and my inspirer qualities, and I channel those into those opportunities, and even in small groups or individual settings. So 2 ways that you enjoy expressing those 2 qualities that you came up with. And the idea behind this, obviously, is that you want to figure out, how can I merge those 2 things, these 2 qualities that I have, or maybe more, but we'll start with 2. How can I take those things into an arena where I can express them in a way that I like what I'm actually doing? I love what I'm doing. How can I express those things in that way? And that will be a purposeful situation, a situation in which you're living your life on purpose. Now, there's a lot more that goes into purpose, and we'll talk about that on future podcasts. But if you really want to know and figure out what your purpose is, you have to tune in to those key personal qualities that you have that you enjoy expressing, and what are the environments that you enjoy expressing those things. But keep in mind, as I said before, that when you're living your life on purpose, the world benefits from what you're doing. Why? Because you were gifted, you were given a certain set of skills, some really good stuff that you were brought here to do, that's part of your purpose, that no one's going to do like you do it. So if the world benefits, then the opposite of that, or the flip side of that, is that if you don't express your purpose, if you don't find a way to live life on purpose, the world misses out on the opportunity to experience that thing that is part of your purpose. I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm believing that everyone who's listening to the sound of my voice will find what their purpose is, that they'll begin to really tune in to those activities, to those personal qualities, and start to live life on purpose. I tell you, it feels so good to be living a life that is on purpose. It feels so good that even though there may be negative things going on, if we listen to the news and some of the negative things that are going on in our environment, in our communities, in society, when you're living a life on purpose, not that stuff doesn't matter, but it just doesn't have the same effect on you, because you can focus in on this purposeful work that you're going out to do every day. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that you're never going to be challenged, that because you're living a life on purpose, that you're never going to have a bad day or a down day. But what I do know is that when you can focus in, my mentor often said, keep the main thing, when you can refocus in a down moment to the question, am I doing purposeful work right now? And what's it going to take for me to get back on purpose in living my life? This is Tracy Early, and I believe, as I close, that everyone listening to the sound of my voice has a purpose in this life that is bigger than anything you're probably doing right now, unless you've already found it. And I look forward to reading, listening, seeing the purposeful work that everyone who's listening is going to be doing in the future. This is Tracy Early, the Early Morning Light Podcast. Thank you for listening, and please like this podcast on the platforms. Invite your friends so they can receive this inspiration, motivation, and the light provided by the Early Morning Light Podcast. Talk to you soon.